Greetings and welcome to Obscuria Filmcast. My name is Aiden Kaplan, and today we are going to be reviewing a film that was selected by Judy Mayer, American Mary. As always, please click the like button and hit subscribe and leave a comment. Without further ado, take it away, Judy.
Hi, everybody. Did you enjoy the film?
No. Yeah. I really did.
Okay, so before we get into it, okay, so I picked this movie. It's a 2012 horror film. It's considered body horror, although I would venture to say I think it falls under the torture porn umbrella. So for any viewers that are not into that type of horror, maybe you should watch it anyway. You could always shut it off. But so I watched this movie in 2012, and I haven't seen it again until that last week. And just to be in full disclosure, guys, I got about 20 minutes in and went, why did I pick this film? Right? I was like, what was I thinking? What was I thinking? They're going to hate me. It's not good, you know? But then after I watched this movie, because I feel like I want to talk about the psychology of this movie more than the actual movie itself, right? I found that, so it takes place with this doctor and it ventures into, what is it called? Body modification, extreme body modification. So I discovered there is this whole world of body modification. And that lace that's on the back of the twins, which is actually the filmmakers, is a thing, which is like, I was like, aren't they scared they're going to get like caught on something? Anyway, so I found myself thinking, because I always tell people about the other film that we picked, which is another 2012 horror film, We Are What We Are. It was back on like episode, I don't know, 7 or 8. That one I recommend to people. And I was like, I never recommend this film. And I think it's because I found it interesting. And I also found it interesting that these two sisters, I think their parents put their house on the line to make this movie. And I do have ideas about it. And then I left it. I feel like I should talk more about the plot of it, but we can get into that. But I left it it really had me thinking of like, what was wrong with this movie? More than like what I liked about this movie. It was one of those things where I felt that the writing was rushed. And I know that they had a meeting with Eli Roth and he was like, I like this idea, make this movie. And then they like wrote the script. And I really think that the characters were way too flat. There was no transition at any. I felt like they were onto something. I was like, oh, here it is. And then it was like, it fell flat again. But it was interesting. And then I think I was like, maybe I just liked this film for selfish reasons. And I forgot that when I watched this film, I was like, I think 10 years ago, I probably could have played the lead character better.
Interesting.
I agree.
Yeah. And I would not wear silk during major surgery.
So tell us give us a little bit of a synopsis.
You said that the parents had to put their house up for mortgage for the movie, because I was yelling at the TV, who paid for this? Who paid for this? This isn't an executive, and you could say whatever you want about Hollywood and it makes crappy movies. At least they have a system.
Do you guys know what the budget was for this film?
That's all I gotta say too.
It's more than their first film.
I don't think
the first film was like 3,000.
Okay.
I'll just going to fill in here. To me, the movie seemed some of the supporting characters were filled by friends and family and lovers of the crew.
Well, let's back up a second here. Let's back up a second here. What is this movie about? Somebody tell us what this movie's about. Anyone.
This movie is about a girl who's going through becoming a surgeon, and to pay her way through being a surgeon and through nefarious things that she stumbles into, she ends up becoming a extreme body modifications person and leaving surgery with slight detours into murder, torture, and other nefarious activities.
Okay.
Is that
okay?
Yes,
it's good. In fact, let me give my version too. This movie is about a psycho killer who dropped out of med school, found a niche where she can exercise her morbid fantasies. Nice.
Except the whole time throughout the film, she pretends like she doesn't really even like it. It's just she's just doing the job because it fell in
She-
her lap and she didn't have any choice, and it is what it
She's
is.
so bland. She's so bland. There's
Yeah.
no look on her face.
I mean, I like the fact that she's pretending like she had no, like that her character, the presumption or the pretension is that this character has no choice, and she just, this horrible thing happened and she had to torture this guy, and I mean, big spoiler alert, she was drugged and raped by her professor of medical professor, who's part of this weird like morbid cult of surgeons who have no regard for the human body as anything other than just a piece of meat that they make lots of money chopping up for whatever reason, which is not that far off probably from the reality of a lot. I mean, I'm in Miami right now.
A lot of
first to
surgeons
tell
that
you-
study this are psychopaths.
Yeah, I mean,
they
I
actually register.
listen, if you look at the kind of surgeries that surgeons are doing nowadays on people, stuff that's not medical, that not only doesn't have any health benefit, but it actually harms people, and the amount of money that people are willing to put into that, and these people are calling themselves
Money.
doctors.
It's money,
I
yeah.
find that this film is when did it come out? 2012? It was a while ago, right?
2012.
Yeah, I mean, I think the film's quite ahead of its time, actually, if I'm being completely honest. I'm not even going to say whether I liked it or not. I think the film, maybe even unintentionally, it paints a really good picture of the decadence and disregard for human dignity that our mainstream society holds, and the way that humans are treated like pieces of meat. I don't think the filmmakers. My guess is that they didn't have that
you're
intention.
breaking up there. Are we on?
Go,
No,
tell me
stop
how much you hated
recording.
it.
Hello, sorry,
Hello.
some technical problems.
That's cool.
I'm hoping that it's better now. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
You want to start right there and just edit it together?
No, let's keep it going.
Yeah. No,
These
I
things
love the
happen.
fact that you hated it, because I love the fact that I did pick a movie that some people love. This movie, these filmmakers have a cult following, and then there's other people that hate it. It's
60
pretty much 5s and 6s across the board. It's like
62% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
deserve it, dude.
52%
Totally deserve
audience
it.
score. No.
Yes, they
why do
do.
they deserve it? Seth?
A high D is absolutely deserved. And
I'll tell you why they don't.
And I started watching their remake of Rabid tonight, which is
Oh,
really good.
Jesus. All right.
They got to
Which is a
remake
Cronenberg
Cronenberg's
classic.
Rabid.
Oh, the same
So-
sisters did.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I thought in terms of filmmaking itself, like it looked good, it flowed well. It's just my issues were with weak character and story, and it's just like there's certain
it has
moments
some
I'm going,
flaws.
what?
Yeah, I
It
mean,
has some flaws.
it's a highly flawed film, but there's a lot of films that are really considered really good that don't have the same entertainment value. That this film has a lot of entertainment value, and it's
Yeah.
it's a
I
very
think
it's a very vibey film. It's like there's like, I like the way it was shot. Like I want to go back and look at the
Me
scenes.
Me
I think
too.
the camera work was kind of beautiful. The scenes were great. I mean,
Yeah.
there were moments with the
It's-
characters. The dialogue
it's
was really
vibey.
good. It has a lot of really good moments in it. It's actually a great collage.
Wait, hold
of
on. The dialogue was not good.
it's a great.
That was just,
Even when it's bad, it's fucking corny. But I'm
No, the
saying
dialogue is good.
it has great
No, it's
moments,
not.
and it's like it's a collection of these really vibey vignettes that is more entertaining than a lot of movies that are considered really
Yeah.
good. So I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't
And I
think
will
you can
say
watch
too,
this,
if this is
if you
their
watch this movie and you weren't entertained by it, I think that's ridiculous. It's a very entertaining movie.
or horrified by it, or had some sort of visceral response, depending on your personality. But I will say too, in case they're watching, it's like I give credit to anybody who actually puts together something and completes a movie and puts it out there. Like it takes a lot to do that, right? And I think that
agree.
even if they rush through this and there was some things, like some of it I thought maybe it's a choice, like like my first one was, and we'll get into spoilers, right? The first surgery that she goes to, where she's like, "You want me to do what? Make you turn into a doll?" And I'm thinking, like, did they teach you that at med school? Where is she going to go to the bathroom? Like, there's all, you could just do it now. Like, she was like, "Oh yeah, let's do it." And I'm thinking, like, really? There's no research. You don't need anyone there. You have all the supplies for that. Like,
you're like trying to find logic in the film once that's already been like thrown out the window, because like none of this is plausible. The whole thing is ridiculous.
Wait, hold on.
Even the
With
college
the logic.
professors
They cover
behave.
all of that though, with just
No, they
enough
don't.
logic. They
No,
say
they
they're
don't.
doing it at a veterinary clinic. That's where they're doing the surgery. They say that they're only going to close her up enough so that she can't have sex, which is completely plausible because that operation exists.
It's a Middle Eastern thing, yeah.
What?
No, okay, it doesn't, because the movie, yes, it threw logic out the window, but it did not replace it with any other logic. David Lynch does the same thing. All his films, our logic that we share in reality is always out, and it's replaced by something. In this movie, they didn't replace it with anything.
Hey, Sean,
Let's start at the top.
What?
Sean,
Let's
can I
start
ask-
at the top.
No,
It's called
Sean,
American
Okay,
Mary.
we're going to play
Well, hold on, no.
yells over
Sean,
everybody
Sean,
this
Sean,
week,
guys,
so I'm not
stop.
going to play that game.
Sean, I have to ask you a personal question. This is the most personal question I've ever asked anyone on a platform before. Have you ever gone to sleep and had dreams?
Yes.
Yeah? Did any of
Yes.
those dreams ever not make any sense? Just, were they ever like really weird? Maybe most of the time they're just really weird.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
so then
but I
would- it
feel
would
in-
so
but
it
you
would
feel-
stand,
okay, no,
so it would
no,
stand-
no.
wait, let me finish. So it would stand to reason that, you know, about a third of your life is spent wandering around in these strange, allegorical, weird stories that don't really make any sense. They're weirder than any movie you've ever seen. So why do you get so offended when somebody creates art that has something surreal to it, when surreal narratives are a part of our very existence?
I could answer that. You used the word vibey before. I think the vibiness of the movie comes from a lack of them explaining anything, explaining the internal logic or theme. There's not. This movie doesn't have a
You
theme.
still
There's
just
no
completely,
theme.
you completely sidestepped.
No, it doesn't.
exactly
We're all
what I
no, no.
said.
Hold
First of all,
on.
you're totally not
We will
answering his
all
question.
no,
You're
no.
not
Hold
answering
on.
my question.
We will all
question.
come up with different themes. If we're asked, each of us, what the theme of the movie is, we will all each have a different answer. That's what I mean by lack of theme.
That's just like your dreams, Sean. That's my whole point. And you didn't address what I said. I could just repeat myself.
If it was no, if the movie had a
Can I
theme
just
of
interrupt for a second?
dreams,
Say a little bit about Sean. Sean doesn't think that Alejandro Jodorowsky's Holy Mountain is a movie. So if this is not a movie too, it's a masterpiece of horror. It's a masterpiece. Both made by Jewish artists, by the way, Alejandro Jodorowsky and me.
God bless, God bless. But it didn't have anything, and there is no, and I can see how it was rushed, because then she was just doing like, I didn't like Billy, the nightclub manager, so he just wound up falling in love with her for no reason.
He's obsessed with her the entire movie.
Anybody?
You know what?
But
I hate. You know,
why?
I don't understand the movie Clue. It's like nobody plays a board game in real life, like in a house, like based on a board. That doesn't make any sense. It's not even real. I mean, I could do this with everything, bro. Like, I don't see I don't understand what your criteria is. I don't get it.
All right. Why is it called American Mary?
Because her name is Mary Madsen.
There was an American flag at the nightclub too. You could kind of tell that the budget was less, and they didn't have time to work on the script, because the nightclub was always empty. There was like three, because you have to pay for extras. There was like three
No,
dudes.
dude, that's not right.
Always.
First of all, Canadian films, you can stock with as many people as you want because the Canadian government pays for those jobs.
No, those scenes
That's
were
what
great.
I was thinking.
The strip club
It's
scenes were my favorite
supposed to
scenes
be-
in the whole movie.
The strip
Yeah.
club, an empty strip club, says something.
I worked at an
Trust
empty
me.
strip club,
All right.
okay? I worked at an empty strip club. I was a bartender at an empty strip club. I worked a graveyard shift
But
in
how
New
does he have
Orleans.
so much money? It's the strip club. That's what I was thinking. I was like, wait, who is he torturing and how does he have all this money? Like, is he doing something else? Because there's like nobody ever there except like Betty Boop, who is that his girlfriend? I was kind of
Beatrice.
confused by that. Beatrice,
And
yeah.
Beatrice pays for Ruby's surgery.
With what money?
And Beatrice says, "Don't worry about money, I got it." And so Beatrice pays for the money. So I'm thinking Beatrice has a trophy husband who's rich. Beatrice is a stripper at the nightclub. That's how she has all this money. When there's 3 dudes at a strip club. That's what I mean by it doesn't make any sense. And I guess you could say it's
do you
like
think that an
logic,
empty
like
strip
there's
club
a
is
dream.
empty all the time? Sean,
Where
how
does
many
he get
strip
the
clubs
money
have you
from?
been to? Sean, how many
It was
strip
like,
clubs?
wait, I was watching, I'm like, wait, Beatrice knows Billy?
I will take you
No.
to the biggest strip club in New York when it's empty, and I'll take you there on a full night.
Let's
It's
go.
Okay, I think the thing
Let's
is
do it.
that there was for me the biggest problem that I had is that I was looking for. I kind of felt like, okay, so if you look at Mary herself, right? From the moment you see her, she's kind of like snarky and sexy and her whole vibe, right? It never really changes the whole movie. So it's like she sort of gets upset when she has to torture someone, and she sort of gets upset, and I'm gonna go, she sort of gets upset when her Nana dies. Like she's always sort of upset. And then the biggest thing for me, this is a question, and maybe I missed something, guys. Why did she suddenly torture the stripper in the bathroom? Like not actually torture her, but terrify her.
Because she's in love with the strip club owner.
Okay, here's a question. Go ahead, Judy. Go ahead.
I didn't get that.
How about this?
She was giving him head, like she's in love with, and she couldn't handle it.
But how
That's what
about
I
this
got.
then? Then the next scene, Mary goes into that bathroom. There's 3 strippers there. The one who was given Billy a BJ and 2 other ones. Mary walks in. The 2 other ones just run. As in, Mary is scary. The one who gave the BJ to Billy just stayed there.
She hid in the stall. Yeah.
No, she didn't run out with the other 2. Then she went in the stall. Then there was a POV shot from the stall out. And Mary's unfolding all these torture things.
Break down a horror movie this way. It's just
I
no
was
fun.
like, why just leave?
It's just no fun. Why?
No,
do they
one of the
hide
things about a
under
horror
the
movie is fear
staircase?
death.
It's like,
Why would you go into the woods?
If he didn't
alone?
pick, if he
Why
didn't pick,
should have just left with the other ones?
if Sean hadn't picked Romeo is bleeding, I wouldn't have any problem with what he's saying right now. But it's like that's like
Click and subscribe. Romeo's Bleeding episode.
Okay, I will defend Sean on this one. With Romeo's Bleeding, I felt that the characters were more fleshed out. I had no idea what anybody wanted or what their motivations
yeah, but
were.
he was just
like
addressing
just
plot
random.
inconsistencies and weird like
Yeah.
shots. So I just meant in terms of that. There's a lot of transitions that don't make sense. But I'm not comparing the movies
Yeah.
1 to 1. I'm
No,
just saying,
I'm
like
just
his
saying that
criticism
was-
right there.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, yes, it's
But
completely a
I
flawed
will
movie.
say, I think the reason I picked this movie, yeah, but I think the reason I picked this movie is because it bothered me so much. And I couldn't quite point my finger on like what exactly it was, right? Because there's points that I like about it. And then I was almost thinking, I wonder if, because it was almost like nothing really made any sense, if they just played the scenes, I was going to ask Seth this, if they just played the scenes a little bit different, would this be a great horror comedy?
Yeah, it would be.
Yes.
I almost
And
wonder, would it be a better
with
film
a
if it-
good rewrite, it
Yes,
would
if
be
they
great.
had-
And also,
exactly. That's a
With
good point.
any
if
rewrites.
it was a series where they could take time to develop out of order or however they want the different characters that are already established, it would be awesome.
They should sell it then. And I'll tell you this. I don't like how she's wearing impossible high heels all the time. I don't care.
What?
I don't
Wait,
care.
okay,
Take them
what about
off.
the clothing in what was the film we just referenced? That with
Romeo's Bleeding.
yeah, they're
They
in
can
impossible
walk
clothes
around.
the whole time.
In Romeo's Bleeding, they could walk around. He was sleeping in the car halfway through the movie.
I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about
Oh.
the women. They're all dressed like
Yeah.
whores in that movie. And
Yeah,
strippers.
but they take off their high heels eventually. I remember there was one where she
He's
had
making it
there was a
up as
knock
he
at the door.
goes
She was in her
along.
new place. There was a knock at the
I
door.
was
The
like, this is so
the
stupid.
detective.
This whole debate
He
is so
only
dumb.
wears like 6-inch heels ever.
No, it's not. If you're gonna make it a dream, make it a dream. Dreams have dreams have a meaning. You wake up, you're like,
So,
the dream
I would
meant
like
this. You
all
decided
films,
this.
everyone watching, any film where a woman moves faster than she should be able to in high heels must be given a C rating or under
No.
from now on.
That's not what I mean. I mean, if you were wearing 4-inch heels, if you wore 4-inch heels and you had to answer the door really quick and make sure that the dead body's closed and you pull the door, you would, that's
Dude,
all I'm
if
saying.
you're doing
Is
it,
that
you know,
Is that a
when
hill
I
you want
have
to die
alien
on?
laid in my
Sean?
gut, I feel fine. Oh, wait, hold on. Nope,
I don't
still
like how
fine.
the movie ended. I don't like the ending.
I thought that
I
was
love the
amazing.
clothes.
She's
I'll tell you
trying to
this.
stitch herself up. That's great.
No,
Her
call
last act
911.
is doing the surgery on herself that she's practiced on the turkey from the first
Call
shot.
911. You can't. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean?
But doesn't she realize
What's
that
the
there's gonna be
symbolism?
internal bleeding?
She wants
Like,
to die
I
as a
thought,
surgeon,
okay,
not as a
that's
body.
cute. So I thought that's cute that she's stitching herself up. I see how they did that, but I'm like, but isn't there going to be like she got like
Internal
basically,
bleeding,
like,
right? That's what I
think you
thought.
guys hit the nail on the head with like everything would work if they added like the right amount of comedic. Like I thought the movie was funny. I mean,
Mhm.
because I didn't take it seriously, but it wasn't funny because it wasn't written funny. But if
Yeah.
they had shot it and made it a little bit more, I don't even know what the genre is. I'm not a big horror guy, but I can see where horror and comedy
I
intersect.
think it's considered body horror, but I put it
It's
personally.
not
under
really
just
body
funny.
horror, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it's
another
so-
thing.
it's
It's
so
not
over the-
anything. I agree with Seth. It's not. It's almost.
And that statement doesn't mean anything. It's not anything. What does that mean?
It's a horror film, and
It's definitely
there's
a horror
few different
film.
kinds, but
I'll
it
tell
has a
you this,
lot of
I'm-
blood. It has torture. It
I
has
bought
some
this
nudity.
Washington Nationals hat because I didn't like this movie this much. This is America. 2, I told this to Seth. I didn't like this movie so much. I cleansed my palate by watching a Nightmare on Elm Street series. I saw movies 3 through 7 just to cleanse my palate of this
Okay,
A lot
movie.
of
Sean.
time.
So is this your least? Is this like your least favorite film we've done so far?
Yes,
I hope
it's
so
content.
because this is.
Judy, no offense. Judy, no
I
offense.
take none. I'm happy that I
Okay,
was able to
it's cool.
evoke
Yeah,
that
it's cool.
emotion
We
out of
could
you.
disagree.
Dude,
It's just
I
yes,
love this
her
movie.
outfits were amazing.
Wait, I'm sorry. You said her outfits were amazing.
Yes, her outfits were
Yes, they were.
amazing. So was her apartment. I liked the lamps and the production design, the
Yes.
set direction more than the movie, than the acting. And I'm sorry, I'll stop.
I like the character, strip club owner character. I think he represents like a very particular archetype from that period of time, about 10 years ago. The like
The music, yeah.
bad boy, like club owner who's also kind of beta and blue pilled, and like
Mhm.
falls in love with the fucking lunatic chick. Like I like that.
Reason.
I like that character because it's realistic. Because almost
Yeah.
every guy I've ever met who's like a good looking baller club owner has a certain
With
like
rings and shit.
a certain insecurity that I think that got kind of captured pretty well. So
Yes, I will say he was one of my favorite characters, but the only moment that I was like, oh, I feel like he's changing, and maybe I secretly like romantic comedy films or something, but I was like, that moment, I feel like it was probably in maybe near the beginning of the third act where I thought he was turning, and he was like, he said something to the effect of, I just haven't felt like torturing anybody lately, or like something. He said something like that, and I was like, oh, because he loves her. Right, he found love, and then
It's
all of a
so
sudden
hot,
he's
right,
like
Judy?
torturing some
That
guy, and
psycho
I have no
guy?
idea why.
Isn't
hold
there
on.
nothing more attractive than like this deranged psycho who's like super handsome and wants to change
No,
his
because
ways
then as
because of
soon
a
as he was
girl?
torturing somebody, and I had no idea why, and I had no idea for what reason, I was just like, now I don't care. Cut his head off. Who cares? Whatever.
I think you can
Blow the
give
whole thing up.
a reason as to anything that doesn't make sense in this movie because it's Canadian. If you just want to
That's what
watch
I
this
was
movie and
thinking.
go, any bizarre behavior in this movie, things that I don't get, is because these people are not British and they're not American either, but they're in North America. And
Seth, that's what I was saying to myself. I was like, what are Canadians like?
well,
I'm yelling at the TV. Is this what
I
they're
want
like?
to go over the Canadian horror tributes.
Okay,
in this
great.
movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
It got me so upset. I'm sorry if I'm.
So
I actually
If
love
I
that.
interrupted Abram and Seth before, I apologize because it was
Not
just
at all.
First of all,
Gosh.
the biggest horror guys, or actually they're directors in Canada, for a while were David Cronenberg and Adam Eagleman.
Goji.
Adam Eagleman's first film is called Exotica. It takes place in a strip club. He went on to do The Sweet Hereafter. He was born in Egypt, but he's an Armenian Egyptian. He grew up in Toronto. Cronenberg grew up in Toronto, and his kid, Brandon, who's now a filmmaker, also is from Toronto. Mary Harron, who did American Psycho, is from Race Ridge, Ontario. And she's the reason the sisters got into film in the first place. So I suspect that's why it's called American Mary. There are so many Cronenberg tributes in this movie that I thought when the twins came on that the operation was to make them into Siamese twins.
Mm.
And then I was disappointed when I saw it was just another body modification.
Yeah.
Because don't they say this one will take a little bit more than just a simple exchange, and then they want to
Yes.
die together?
Yes.
So I was sure that we were going to see like them like in a yin yang symbol with their like as the blueprint. Then I saw the blueprint and I was like, oh, big deal, you're putting horns in. And you know, so there's a lot of
I think the directors really got those implants for the movie. That wasn't makeup. I think they really got the implant. I really do. I saw it twice. I'm like, no way, no way.
You suspect that or you know that?
I suspect it. I've seen it. Watch it again. It's not makeup. Watch it really close.
Because I saw
Little horns
pictures of
to pick
them
up.
on the red carpet for Rabid, which is 2019, and they're not there.
Yeah.
Maybe they
That's
got it
makeup.
removed. I don't
That's
know.
makeup.
But okay. So
Very good makeup then.
So Ruby, okay, so Billy, the nightclub manager, you see him watching the video that the pervy medical professor took. He
Mhm.
had that video somehow. No
Well,
reason.
he
No,
he
there that
kidnapped.
is explained.
He got the other guy, the other medical guy, and he was torturing him. Maybe he
All right, he got it from the
him,
other
you know?
medical guy. But then
No,
Billy
they
says
they
he
have
denies
him
he has it.
captured. So I think she went to him and they got him captured. That's why, because remember
Yeah.
Billy and his giant lurch guy, whatever,
Lance.
show up at her apartment and he's there. So I think they took his phone and all of his stuff there because the intention was she was going to kill him or whatever with him.
Oh,
they
right,
took
and then he
his
took
stuff.
it from
So
there.
I think that I pieced together. It's like, oh, he did take the phone, so the cop wasn't able to get it.
But the cop says there was a tape, so there must have been
Of other
multiple
people.
tapes.
That
There's
was
multiple
after the
tapes.
facts too.
Yeah.
That was deeper into
Oh
the
my God.
investigation.
But
That
then
was
why
towards the
did
end.
okay? So here. Thank you for explaining. Here's it. Why did Billy deny having the tape when Mary asked him? Did you
That
see
moment,
my
I
tape?
think, is because he loved her and he didn't want to say anything,
Yeah.
Oh,
which was like his redeeming moment in my eyes, is that he was in his sick, twisted mentality. Is that a word?
Yeah.
He was almost like protecting her. Like, no,
Well,
it
then
doesn't exist.
I just wish
I thought all
they
that shit
had
made
players
sense. That
because the
wasn't confusing
acting
at all to me.
Yeah.
to me it was because he just acted like he really didn't see it. It's like I don't know. All right, okay, you're right. Oh my God.
I think it's like a lot of the stuff was like right on the verge. And I hate when people like wrap everything up perfectly and everything is completely explained. But I think I think with this, they needed to just a few elements maybe put a little bit more into.
Okay, here's another thing. So Ruby, she wants her nipples removed and her vagina sewn up. That's what she wants.
And her
Doesn't
eggs
say
just
anything-
taken off. So a labiadectomy as well.
And maybe clitoris. She didn't say anything about sewing up her mouth or her other whatever. But okay, so that's it. Okay, I get it. I'm there.
You
Then
get
she
it?
presents herself to her husband, and he's angry. Okay, so it's like now Ruby did this to herself without her husband knowing, without telling him, or thinking that he would be really into it when she doesn't have any Orify, or at least one left. So it's or one less. So it's like so what is that? But then he goes to find Beatrice, beats her up because he wants the name of the doctor who did it. That's that okay, and then Beatrice gives it, and then he kills Mary?
Yeah.
What about Ruby? Did he smack her around? Did she kill Ruby? And why didn't he kill Beatrice? He left her alive so she would warn Mary, and then he would get there. That was really confusing to me, especially when a character who had 0 lines. The husband had 0
I
lines.
found, honestly,
what?
I
Give me
found
something.
it, the first time I watched it, I didn't get that that was the husband. I didn't get it. Because he's
See?
a non-entity that comes.
They even had a
and
little
just even that
flashback.
little moment
I
where she
thought it
looks
was-
at the
listen,
Polaroid.
From
She
a
looks
from
at
a
the
writing
Polaroid and she goes,
standpoint,
I didn't know Ruby had a girlfriend.
Yes,
Yes.
then he had a flashback,
From
so
a
you
right-
could be reminded.
listen, when you're trying to like tie up a script, like as far as a disjointed script that has structural issues, I thought that that was a perfect, like really elegant way to end the film, because the film is almost like, it's sort of, how do you end that? How do you tie it up? I mean, she's got to get punished for
Turns it
being.
off to the sunset.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
would
no,
be easier if you had a theme.
it has to end with her having consequences for her ridiculous behavior, and that I couldn't think of a better way to end it than having the husband flip out. And you're asking, well, what's the rationale? The guy's he's not rational. He's flipping out. He wants to know who did this to his wife. He's not thinking about anything else, Sean. He's not wondering, well, maybe if I get the woman who found the person to do the. No, he wants to get the woman who did the thing to his wife. It makes perfect sense, Sean. What is so confusing about it? The woman who actually cut off the nipples of his wife, the woman who actually.
I'm not complaining with your logic there at all. Ava.
Blame
I'm
the
just
wife.
complaining about a character that comes out of nowhere.
No. I'm totally with you on that. I'm not addressing that. I'm sorry. Seth.
Emotionally, I understand why he would do it. He married a crazy woman.
Yeah.
He's probably put up with a lot
No,
of
but
stuff.
Sean was saying he doesn't understand why he did it to her and not the woman
Well,
Beatrice, and why did he
Sean's
leave
never
her
been in
alive?
love
And
with a crazy woman.
he's just trying to.
He's blessed.
You have a film full of characters who are very eccentric, and I almost would say not one person. Yeah, probably not one person in this entire film is like a normal thinking person
Nana,
with normal reactions.
except Nana.
Everybody
that's
is
another
sort of like, maybe that's what they think of America. I don't know. We're all crazy. But I think
Yes.
every single person is just like all the surgeons.
Wait, is this
I
film
say this.
literally supposed to take place in America, or is that not?
I'm sure it's
They
supposed
didn't
to.
say the city. They
mean-
didn't say the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Canada
just
also,
the
by the way,
city.
has the best strip clubs in
I don't-
in the-
Montreal?
I don't think Canadians are any less fucking insane than Americans are, and I don't.
No, no,
Yeah.
they're just different.
And I think they know it.
They know
They're
it.
probably more
Socialists.
crazy because they don't have any kind of variation in their climate. And I think this movie is a perfect example of what happens when creative Jewish people are born and raised in Canada, because it's like not the right climate for them. They're supposed to be in a Mediterranean climate, not in a fucking frozen tundra. And
Well, I think it's funny that the only
they go
other
crazy
person,
and they make movies like this.
Adam Egerman is from Egypt and he's Armenian. Like
Who's
that's
that?
their other great director.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, I
Okay,
did
so when the
Yeah, I did read about the film that that these sisters, the Soska sisters, wanted to make a film because they felt like they weren't being let into the filmmaking community. And that's how they felt about it. So they wanted to create a character who felt separate from and not really embraced by the community that they were in, which is supposed to be Mary in the surgical world, I guess.
Okay. So when the Soska sisters enter in the nightclub, they have the ribbons in the back. That was cool. One of the dancers was dancing. They go and
Oh,
lean
yeah.
in for a kiss, and then the Soska sister bites the dancer's tongue, and there's blood and stuff. Okay,
They have a fetish for that. It's also in their
Yeah.
movie Rabid.
but no police.
No, dude,
This is an underground world. It's like one of those, I mean, at least that was consistent for me, is that in their world, nobody calls the police. Nobody goes to the hospital. Nobody calls the police.
But then the stripper doesn't retaliate in any way. If there's no law, fine, then the stripper would retaliate. Bitch, you bit me. Like anything? Because they were upstairs for 10 minutes talking. I'm alone
know
here.
You're trying to make sense out of these people's motives when you've got a woman who all of a sudden becomes a body modification artist, and she kicks out a guy and violently kicks a guy out of her office because he wants a regular piercing. And
Yeah, I didn't like that part either.
Yeah.
It's like,
and
you don't
she
like money? Like,
Yeah, and the other
oh,
thing, too,
don't
guys,
go. I don't do piercings.
maybe, I don't know.
You get out of here. I didn't
Yeah, it was a
understand
little-
that
was a little
either.
strange. But the part too where the surgeon that raped her, what she does to him, and then she beats the security guard, and I'm just like, really? As a person who has dealt with sexual assault, not to that, but like, and known many women with similar situations, like, it just seems like a little excessive.
Okay. So
yeah, just a
this.
little.
I'm a security guard.
Yes.
I'm a security guard, and there's a weird chick who has some weird stuff in one of the units. She leaves her door open for some reason. Leaves the door open into a room where a man with his arms and legs cut off, hanging by his skin. And you know what? I forgot the door. I'm so quirky. Leaves the door open. She's torturing him. Big monologue, which is cool. It's cool. And it was one take. I kind of dug that. A lot of the monologues were one take, which is cool. But then the security guard comes and hits her once. She's on the ground, and the security guard is like, what? Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm screaming at the TV. She's going to get up. This lady tore a man in pieces and hangs him from the ceiling. Put your fucking handcuffs on the chick.
That's what they want you to be doing. If you were doing that, then the movie is doing its job.
Cuff
That
her
means the scene is
first.
good.
Okay.
I will say, I
Okay.
always love movies that cause an emotional response and make you think. And I will say, as my final thoughts for this film, is that I think it does succeed in that. And I do think that anybody who watches this movie might have an extreme response of hating it or really enjoying it. Maybe middle of the road. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I thoroughly enjoyed
No
it.
middle.
I didn't hate it at all. I enjoyed the whole film. I thought it was very entertaining. It definitely, I could be critical or whatever, but I enjoyed it. I think it's an entertaining film and it's fun. That's all. I'm not trying to. I'm not reading that much more into it. There's nothing about it that made me angry. I don't understand Sean's response at all, but that's part of the beauty of this podcast. I think closing arguments are in order because we want to wrap it up at this point. Sean, why don't you go next, and then let's hear from Seth.
Okay, it seems 2012's American Mary was a production not to express a narrative or the range of thematic ideals. Rather,
are you reading off
this
of
film,
a card right
Come
now?
on,
I
man.
wrote
Let
an
him
essay.
Let him finish.
But rather, this filming intention was to create a proverbial mirror for the filmmakers to battle in their own
Read slower
reflection.
so we can
It
understand
reminded me of First Dates, where it was apparent that I was expected to inflate the ego of the young lady in question. Watching this film, all of the thematic elements were there to create a compelling narrative, but were ruined by the filmmakers' desire to prove to themselves they could make a movie. In closing, just proving you can make a movie automatically disrespects the audience. Disrespect in the.
Where's your
then I
movie?
rambled off.
Where's your
movie? We're gonna have to get
listen,
a
Soska
soundboard. We're gonna get a
Sisters.
soundboard every time somebody says some ridiculous shit. I'm gonna have a button that I push. And one of them is gonna be
Where's
where's
your
your
and
movie?
Ed Wood. I dig Ed Wood too. I dig Ed Wood. You're right. I'm just saying that was my reaction. And Soska Sisters, God bless you. I saw your movie twice, and that should count for something. Thank you. All right.
Definitely
Seth.
get an A for effort, Sean.
All right. I'm going to wash down this podcast with the second half of the remake of David Cronenberg's Rabid, directed by the Soska sisters, who, because they felt so out of it and made this movie, got into it by redoing the second film of the greatest director in Canada, and maybe my favorite director ever, David Cronenberg.
Greatest living director by far, yeah.
If you like the idea of these movies, we haven't talked about Frankenstein, the doctor, not the actual, which
Victor.
Yeah, especially the Hammer Frankenstein, played by Peter Cushing. If you like that, you probably like this. Cross with the ghosts of Marathon Man and Boys from Brazil. They even mention Mengele. They bring in a Nazi. There's a Jew Nazi thing going on through it. The first word you hear in Yiddish is korva, which means whore in Yiddish. And then you find out, oh, she's a whore. And then you see she's not a whore. There's that progression at the beginning after that. I think that's oh, well, I'll just leave you with this since he got to read his. I'll read my spiel that I was just going to bury. What if David Cronenberg directed the script Martin Scorsese developed and realized on conclusion only Steven Spielberg would be able to tackle? But Steven, under the pressure of doing Jurassic Park and shooting in a very personal film in the Polish winter, had to turn the script over to David Cronenberg because his friend George owed Cronenberg, because Cronenberg refused to direct Return of the Jedi. This could have happened. And Canada said no American directors if they had ever shot there. Cronenberg's Canadian. Cronenberg rules this. If you want to see how good he is, see this, because it's not that. And yeah, it misses the mark in a lot of places. But I'm liking Rabbit. It got me to like Rabbit. Oh, and the girl in this was cast because she's in another movie that I saw years before about twin werewolves called, what's it called? Ginger Snaps. So she's in Ginger Snaps, which is about two sisters who are werewolves genetically. And then they're twins. And then they go on to make.
In 2000, Ginger Snaps. 2000.
2000 was Ginger Snaps.
This girl, her name is what's her name? Katharine Isabelle.
Isabelle?
She is the hardest working actress in town. She's been working since '89 as a kid, and not 1 year has gone by where she hasn't had at least three roles. I'm scrolling all her stuff.
And whoever
So
costumed her is a genius.
Yeah, it was. I liked the sets and the costumes a whole lot more. And Soska sisters, with all, it's all right. Just don't have me. All right, I don't know. I felt all right. Nothing. I didn't know. There's nothing to say. I still like. I mean, it's. I want to hang out. I just want to hang out. All right. That's it. All right.
It's not a bad film at all. And I think it's actually good. I think if you're with a group of friends, it's a great film to watch because you're going to have a great discussion afterwards. So whose pick is next? Abram. All right.
All right.
What are we doing?
All right. What we're doing is a 2007 documentary about a fascinating family. You decide whether they're dysfunctional or not. It's called Surfwise. I'll read you the basic introduction from Wikipedia. Surfwise is a 2007 American documentary film about the 11-member Doc Paskowitz family, which was directed by Doug Prey. The film premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival, yada, yada, yada. Paskowitz went to Stanford University Medical School, became an MD, and espoused a philosophy of holistic health and diet while raising his large family of 8 boys and 1 girl in a camper with his wife, Juliet Paskowitz, and founding a school of surfing. This description doesn't even begin to get at the heart of how bizarre and awesome this movie is. But it's basically a documentary about a doctor who gave up all of his earthly possessions, and at the age of 35, I believe, and went around the world in search of his next wife, because his other wife left him or whatever, and took the kids, and he was starting all over in his mid to late 30s, and he goes around the world trying to find basically the perfect lay, and decides that if he can find the woman who's the perfect lay, that's going to be his wife, and he's going to have many children with her, and they're going to travel around and become nomad surfers, and that's what this movie's about. And he's in his 80s when this film is shot, and it's the most candid thing you've ever seen. The guy's like completely open and honest about everything. And he died recently, several years ago, at the age of like 95 or something like that. Very interesting character. Dorian Pasquitz, he's a surf legend. He brought surfing to Israel. There were no surfers in Tel Aviv until he came there in the 50s.
You're kidding.
No, I mean, he was an early guy. He was early in the surf scene. This guy was born like practically the turn of the century. I mean, he learned how to surf in like southern Texas, and I guess California, like before it was even really a popular thing. But anyway, fascinating
When it was
film.
those big boards.
By the time you're watching this film, it's modern surf. I mean, it's way into he was there at every stage in the evolution of surfing. So like, I mean, he evolved with the sport. You know what I'm saying? The guy's a legend. Many of his kids became legends as well. So like, you'll see. It's a nice compliment to Big Wednesday. It's like, but it's an actual documentary that touches on so many interesting topics, and then really centers around this, by modern standards, dysfunctional family who's on the road all the time, but I think by reasonable objective standards, a very interesting family that makes good case for its lifestyle. So that's my pick, Surfwise 2007. I think you can get it streaming on Amazon Prime. You might be able to get it on Hulu. I'm not sure. I think you can find this for free though.
Cool.
Who's the director again? Doug Prey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doug Prey.
Yes, the tagline is "Reject Normal."
Yeah. Which also doesn't do it justice. I mean, that's just so like on the nose, but
Do it justice.
yeah.
Have you seen it, Seth?
I haven't, but he's told me a lot lot about it over the years, so I'm.
Oh, really?
I
Over the
figured
years?
nobody. It's one of those movies that like most people haven't seen, but honestly, I don't know a single person who's seen this movie and said, "Oh, I wish I hadn't seen that." Like it's one of those movies that it's really like an eye-opening film. So,
Yeah.
and it's
Cool.
just it's really funny to watch an 85-year-old retired surfer Jewish doctor guy talking about pussy, you know. So there's that.
Okay.
Anyway,
Mr. Abram Igo, right?
yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
was,
Look at the order.
I think then Sean and then me, right? It's me.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So
always
anyway,
after
if you like
Abram.
our show, click and subscribe.
Yeah, click like and subscribe and leave a comment. And until next time, peace.